Okay, so you want to start a gin tasting business. Sounds like fun. We've got a ton of articles and business guides here, and honestly, it looks pretty promising.
Yeah, it seems like a pretty hot idea. People are moving away from like generic spirits, you know?
Yeah.
They want the good stuff and they're looking for experiences.
Right, premium experiences.
Yeah.
Not just like any old drink, and craft gin is having a moment.
Big time. And get this, one article said 70% of gin fans, they're not just there to drink, they actually want to learn about the gin.
Oh, wow. So the history, the how it's made, all that.
Exactly, the botanicals, the whole story. So yeah, it's a booming market, but you can really make something special, make it stand out.
I'm already loving this idea, but before we get carried away, let's talk about what you actually need to get started.
Okay, well, obviously you got to start with the gin.
Oh, for sure. That's the fun part. So, like, all those different kinds of gin.
Yeah. You're going to want a good collection, like a curated collection. Show off the variety.
Okay, so we're talking London Dry Gin with that juniper hit, Old Tom Gin, the kind of sweeter one, maybe even some flavored gins, just to mix it up.
You got it. Oh, and you can't forget the tonic. Like, some sources said a good tonic can make or break the whole tasting.
Really, that important.
Absolutely. It's got to complement those botanicals,
Right.
create the perfect flavor, or it can totally clash.
Wow. Okay, I never thought about the tonic that much.
And then you've got your garnishes too, rosemary, citrus, that kind of thing. Makes a difference.
Okay, so we've got gin, tonic, garnishes. What else?
Well, you need the tools, right? Tasting
Yeah.
glasses, jiggers, ice buckets, all that good stuff.
Oh, and snacks.
Mm.
One guide suggested, like, gourmet crackers or a nice bread to go with the gin.
Yeah, little touches like that. It's all about the experience. But we got to talk about the boring stuff too, the legal side of things.
Okay, yeah, gotta make sure we're doing everything by the book. What do we need to know?
Well, first, you got to check your local laws about alcohol, right? You might need a special license for these tastings.
And if you want to actually sell the gin, that's a whole other license, right?
Right, a liquor license, you got to have that. And don't forget liability insurance.
Oh, good point.
Yeah,
Just in case things get a little too rowdy.
exactly. You got to be prepared. And some areas even need like a responsible alcohol service certification, to keep everyone safe and happy.
Safety first. Okay, so we've got our gin. We're legal now for the really fun part. Designing the actual tasting.
Yeah, this is where you get creative. You can have all sorts of different tastings for different people.
Okay, so like a classic tasting where you try different gins and learn about them.
Yeah. And then maybe a themed tasting,
Right.
like a botanical gins tasting, focusing on those floral, citrusy notes.
Oh, I love that. Or like a gin around the world tasting, trying gins from different countries.
There you go. And for the adventurous types, how about a blind tasting challenge?
Ooh, that's fun. Blindfolded, guessing the gins.
Ah,
That's cool. But maybe a little intimidating for beginners.
true. Good point. Maybe make it like an optional thing or have a separate tasting for the more experienced gin drinkers.
Makes sense. That way there's something for everyone. And of course, the classic gin and tonic pairings, where you try different tonics and garnishes.
Exactly. And for those who want to learn more, you could do cocktail master classes.
Oh, like a corporate event. Everyone's learning to make cocktails. That would be so cool.
It fits right in with what some of those sources said. Corporate clients love this kind of thing.
Okay, so we've got classic tastings, themed events, blind tasting challenges, gin and tonic pairings, cocktail master classes. The list goes on. But before we get too lost in the fun, we got to talk about the money, right? How much can you actually make doing this?
That's the million-dollar question. And it depends on a lot of factors, like how many guests, what kind of gin you're using, the whole level of service. But don't worry, we'll get into all those nitty-gritty financial details next time.
Okay, can't wait. I'm already hooked on this whole gin tasting business idea. All right, so last time we were talking about all the fun stuff, the gins, the tonics, the garnishes, but now we got to get down to business. Like, how much can you actually charge for these tastings?
Yeah, good question. And these guides actually have some pretty good advice on that. It's not just about, picking a price out of thin air.
So, like, how do you figure out what to charge?
Well, one guide suggested doing different tiers, like good, better, best, that kind of thing. So you could have like a basic tasting, maybe $30 a person, where they try a few gins, get the basics.
Yeah, it makes sense for someone who's just starting out with gin.
Right. And then you can have those premium packages that offer more, like a gin and food pairing, maybe
Yeah.
$50 a person, where you give them little bites that go with each gin.
Ooh, that's fancy. Like those gourmet crackers we were talking about, maybe with a citrusy gin, some goat cheese.
Exactly. That's the kind of thing that makes you stand out. And those premium packages, they usually have a better profit margin, you know. People are willing to pay more for something special.
Makes sense. What about those cocktail master classes?
Oh, yeah, those could be like $75 a person. Easy. They're learning a skill, right? Plus, you got to factor in the extra ingredients, maybe give them a little recipe book to take home.
Okay, I'm seeing how this works. Different tiers, adding value, making sure you're making money.
And one guide even suggested like having a minimum number of guests for those private events. That way you're guaranteed a certain amount, you know, even if a few people drop out.
Oh, that's smart. So you're not
Wow.
stuck with like a half-empty event and a bunch of leftover gin.
Exactly. Okay, but pricing is only one part of it. We also got to make sure people know about these amazing tastings, right? Marketing time.
All right, let's get the word out. How do we get people excited about this?
Okay, first things first, you got to have a strong brand, you know. What's your story? What feeling are you going for? Are you all about that classic, sophisticated vibe? Or more like playful, exploring different gins?
Ooh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're not just selling gin, we're selling an experience.
Exactly. And that brand, it's got to be everywhere, you know? Your website, social media, even how you design your tasting menu.
Speaking of websites, how important is that?
Super important. People got to be able to find you online, book a tasting, you know? You got to have great pictures of the gins, the cocktails, all that.
Oh, and those close-ups of the botanicals.
Yeah.
And behind-the-scenes videos so people feel like they're already there.
Exactly. You want them to be like, I got to try this. Social media is huge too.
Instagram, Facebook, all that.
Yep. You got to keep posting interesting stuff, good pictures, maybe some polls, you know, keep people engaged.
That's a lot.
One guide said, just focus on a couple platforms, you know, where your people are. No need to do it all at once.
Makes sense. Oh, and what about those partnerships we were talking about?
Oh, yeah. Those can be huge, especially when you're starting out.
So, like, working with those craft distilleries.
Exactly. You feature their gins, they tell their customers about your tastings. Win-win.
Awesome. What about restaurants, bars, maybe even hotels?
Perfect. You could do like gin-themed dinners, cocktail nights. Oh, and don't forget event planners, corporate clients. They're always looking for something cool and different.
Right. We could even make custom tasting packages, tailored to their brand or event. That would be impressive.
Exactly. Oh, and food and beverage festivals. Great way to meet people, get your name out there, maybe even get some press coverage.
Okay, so we've got the website, the social media, the partnerships, the festivals. Our gin empire is on the rise. What's next?
Now we got to think bigger. Those guides had some pretty cool ideas for like going beyond just those in-person tastings.
Ooh, tell me more. I'm feeling ambitious.
Okay, so what about selling tasting kits online? You know, put together a box with little bottles of gin, tonics, fancy garnishes, maybe a little tasting guide.
Wait, like a DIY gin tasting at home? This is genius. People can experience it anywhere.
Right. And speaking of reaching more people, what about virtual tastings?
Like online gin parties.
Exactly. Send them the kits, then guide them through it on video call. Perfect for people who can't make it to your in-person events.
Virtual tastings, online kits. We're really thinking outside the box here. What else?
Ooh, a gin subscription service. Every month they get a new gin, some cool mixers, maybe some info about the distillery, you know.
Like a Gin of the Month club. I'd totally sign up for that.
Right, and you could have different tiers, you know, basic, premium, maybe even a super fancy one with limited edition gins or like access to exclusive online events.
Okay, this is getting serious. In-person tastings, online kits, virtual events, subscriptions. The possibilities are endless. But with all this, new stuff, how do we make sure we're not forgetting what makes gin special?
Oh, that's a really good point. It's easy to get caught up in the business side, but gin have like a history, a craftsmanship, you know?
It's more than just a trendy drink.
Right, so we got to make sure we're respecting that, educating people about the different styles, the botanicals, the stories behind it all.
It's about, finding that balance, between being innovative and keeping that traditional gin spirit alive.
Exactly. And that's what will make you stand out, that genuine love for gin.
Totally agree. That passion's going to draw people in. Okay, but now I'm really curious about all these different kinds of gin. Can we dive into that a little more?
Oh, absolutely. It's time for a gin crash course. Let's break down those styles and categories so you know exactly what you're working with.
All right, I'm ready to become a gin expert.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so gin lovers. We've talked business, we've talked marketing, but now let's talk about what really matters. The cocktails.
Yeah, time to get mixing.
We've talked about all these amazing gins, but, Gin's not meant to be lonely. It loves to party with other flavors.
Right. Gin's super versatile. It can be like refreshing or complex or even warm and cozy depending on how you mix it.
So before we get into specific recipes, what are like the golden rules of making a killer gin cocktail?
Well, these guides all talked about balance. Like you don't want one flavor to take over, you know? It's got to be harmonious.
So the gin shouldn't get lost in a bunch of sugar or lemon juice.
Exactly. You want those juniper notes to shine through, but also work with the other flavors. Like a band, you know? Every instrument has its part.
Love that analogy.
Yeah.
So balance is key. What else?
Fresh ingredients, fresh juice, fresh herbs, fresh fruit, whenever you can. It makes a huge difference.
Right, nothing beats a fresh lime and a gimlet. Speaking of which, let's talk about some of those classic gin cocktails. You know, the ones everyone should know.
Okay, gotta start with the martini. The king of gin cocktails. Timeless, elegant, so many possibilities.
Ooh, the martini. Shaken or stirred.
Ah, the big debate. Traditionally, it's stirred, you know, keeps it nice and smooth. But honestly, it's up to you. Some people like it shaken, a little more airy.
So for a classic martini, what do you absolutely need?
Gin and dry vermouth.
Yeah.
The ratio, you can play around with that, but it's mostly gin.
And the garnish. Olive or lemon twist?
Another good question. Olive's the classic, but a lemon twist adds that citrusy freshness. Some people prefer that. You can even do a Gibson with a cocktail onion.
So many choices, even for a classic. What other gin greats should we know about?
The Negroni. If you're a gin fan, you gotta try this. It's gin, Campari, and sweet vermouth, equal parts. It's like bittersweet and bold.
I've heard of it, but never tried it. What's it like?
It's definitely complex, you know, that bitter orange from the Campari. Some people find it a bit much at first, but once you get into it, it's amazing.
Okay, that's going on my list. What about something a little lighter, more refreshing?
The Tom Collins. Classic for a reason. Sweet, sour, fizzy, perfect for a hot day.
So gin, lemon juice, sugar, soda water.
That's it. Simple, but the ingredients gotta be good. Fresh lemon juice, good quality gin, makes all the difference.
Okay, so we've got the martini, the Negroni, the Tom Collins. What else?
The Gin Fizz, it's like a Tom Collins, but with egg white. Makes it creamy and frothy.
Fancy. So those are like the all-stars. But what about for people who want something a little more, I don't know, adventurous, something new?
Oh yeah, the cocktail scene is always changing, and gin's right there with it. You've got all these mixologists trying new things, new flavors, new techniques.
The gin cocktails with a twist.
Exactly. You might find gin infused with spices or herbs or cocktails with like tea or even savory stuff.
Ooh, interesting. Any examples?
Well, there's the French 75, a classic champagne cocktail, but now they're adding elderflower liqueur. It's like floral and sweet, goes so well with the gin and champagne.
That's delicious. What else is trendy?
Savory ingredients are big right now. Cucumbers, herbs, even spices like coriander or cardamom.
So gin cocktails that are more like earthy and herbal.
Yeah, perfect if you don't want something too sweet.
Love it. It's all about exploring, finding new ways to enjoy gin. And I bet there's so much more out there.
Oh, for sure. Gin cocktails is a whole world to discover. And as you start this business, you know, don't be afraid to get creative. Try new things.
That's the spirit. I'm feeling inspired already. Well, I think we've covered just about everything in this gin deep dive.
Yeah, we've gone from history and production to tasting to cocktails.
But most importantly, you're ready to go out there and start your own gin tasting business.
Go for it. Share your love of gin. Create amazing experiences for people.
Cheers to that. And remember, always drink responsibly and enjoy every sip.